Okay, we are in app.sketchup.com, which is the free version of the Google SketchUp app. There's a desktop version that is also free. If you look at a lot of the videos online, that's what they're using, and this is a newer version, as far as I can tell, that doesn't have a lot of videos, which is why I am doing this. When you first open up a new SketchUp, you will get what's called Perspective Man here. If you click on him using the selection tool that's over here in this toolbar, you can very easily delete him by hitting delete. If you right click on him, there's more tools in the context or the pop-up menu that comes up, and you can just hit the trash too to get rid of him. He is about 6 feet tall, so sometimes that's useful to figure out perspective, which is why he's called Perspective Man. First thing I'm going to use over here is the pencil. And I've done this a couple times and done it wrong, and then I realized, oh, there's probably some shortcuts that would be helpful. So in addition to this toolbar over here on the left, there is another one over here on the right, and one of them has what's called the Instructor button on there. Super nice. If you're on a tool over here and you don't know what it does, you can come over here and it gives you some basic instructions as well as some modifier keys. It's really important that when you use SketchUp, you're using a mouse. Using a trackpad is going to drive you bananas. And usually while you're doing something with the mouse, you can use one of these modifier keys over here to make it do something extra. So like if I'm drawing a line, I can just draw it to there. It'll go along the green or the, I think that's the y-axis maybe. And then if I pull it out here, now notice now it's parallel to red. It's telling me something there. I can draw it out to there. Okay, so now it's parallel to blue. So this is hard for me to tell. I'm actually in space right now. I actually want to keep this thing on in this plane. So now I'm parallel to green. I could do that right there, and that would connect that. And then over here, I can connect it back to the endpoint here. Now, when I connect a flat surface, it will totally turn into a plane or a face. And if it doesn't, it means I probably did something weird in space. In fact, I can probably do that here. So click, click, click. I'm going to try to do something weird here. This is actually not flat. So notice how this one did not turn a color. It's because this is actually in space. It's hard for you to tell right now. So the very, very most important trick you will probably learn is how to orbit around. You can do it over here with this tool over here. It's called the Orbit tool right here, and the tooltips work so you can not sure what something is. And if I click and hold and drag, you can kind of see, oh, this thing is actually in space. That thing is flat. That's in space. Now, I can also click side to side. If I go over here, I can do what's called the pan tool to grab things and go right and left. And I can also do zoom, which I can go hold click. I can zoom in and out. These are a real pain. Don't use these over here. Unless you've got a trackpad, you don't want to use these. You want to use the shortcuts. So instead of clicking on any of those, I'm going to go back up here, click on the selection tool, and do the same thing. If I just scroll the mouse, the wheel at the top, that zoom in and out, so that's a shortcut. Most modern mice, you can actually click on the scroll wheel. So I'm holding down not the right button, not the left button, but the scroll wheel. If I click that down, it actually turns into the orbit thing. And then if I just move it around, I can move all around there. And then finally, this is a trick. I'm going to hold down the control key on the keyboard. And then once again, I'm going to click on the mouse scroll wheel. And, oh, it's not control, it must be shift. Yeah, it's shift. Okay, so hold down shift. Go side to side. So I've got the scroll wheel pressed down. So normally that would be a pan, be a orbit. But because I've got the shift, it turns into a little hand. I can side to side. So you might want to practice that real quick. So scroll wheel in and out, scroll wheel click to orbit, and shift scroll wheel click side to side. Really, really super important. Instead of using these over here, will drive you crazy. Okay, I don't like this. If I double click or I single click on it, it'll select just this. I could hit delete and that'll get rid of that. If I double click on it, it'll get anything that's connected, so that grabs everything. So I'm going to delete that. And now I have this thing. I'm almost done with this video. There's two more things I want to show. First of all, this is flat, boring. I'm going to switch over to the push-pull tool. If I grab this and pull up, Wow, cool 3D prism. And once again, I can use the orbit key to scroll around and look at it. Another very cool thing is being able to draw on these tools. So if I, on the edge there, notice these inference points. I can do an endpoint, I got an endpoint, and I have a midpoint. So I click and drag and go down to another midpoint. This is right in the center. And the advantage of being right in the center is that's like a little crease that I can grab. Now, push-pull won't work. Actually, push-pull will work. If I click on this, I can make this bigger. I can make it smaller, which is totally cool. I'm going to do that once more, but I'm going to do a different trick. So I'm going to do the pen again, the pencil again. I'm going to get a midpoint blue to another midpoint blue. And instead of using that tool, I'm going to use what's called the move tool. Right here, the move tool. If I grab hold of that line and pull out, oops, that does not do it. Oh, must be the edge. If I grab hold of that edge and pull out, and of course this is not working. Let me undo. Okay, so undo is right here. I'm going to undo everything and try this one more time. It's live TV. Midpoint to midpoint. Maybe I need to select it first. I'm going to select it. I don't know if this is critical that I have to do this. Okay, try the move tool again. If I grab that guy and pull him, I want to pull him out. Maybe that's the problem. Ah! Oh, it's because I've got this weird shape over here. Let me try this one more time with something else. You can see what I was doing. So once again, I'm going to draw a shape. I'm going to use the push-pull tool to go up. And then I'm going to do a midpoint to midpoint from here to there. I'm going to go back and grab my move tool. I'm going to grab this guy. That's what I wanted. And I can both do him tilted, which would be like over here. I'm just pulling it out. If I hold the up key, it'll make sure that it's going in the blue direction. Oh, and the last thing I want to point out, really helpful if you do not drag. If you click and then click, I don't know if you can hear that, but click and click, click and click, much more effective than clicking and dragging. You can, but it often creates problems. So when you're doing these things, it's awful help to just click once in one spot and then click again when you get to the next spot and connect and things like that. Ooh, triangle, I can make that. Oh, since I'm on it, eraser tool. Look what happens when you erase. I don't like that line. That screwed that whole thing up. I can connect those again to make that surface correct again. And a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to stop it there because this is probably long enough for right now.